that is the ultimate cock block. You just killed the night for countless couples. Anybody listening to this now is going to cancel.
It's very Freudian in a way, right? You're giving
date.
birth to your own male partner. I mean, the whole conversation around sex is interesting, where on the one hand, we treat it as something that can be commoditized and bought and sold as any other product. But then we will also readily acknowledge that stealing a car is very different from sexually assaulting someone, right, in terms of its effect. I mean, if it's something that can be bought and sold by two agreeable parties, then why is that different from buying and selling a couch? Because very clearly sex is important and it has significance for, our sense of safety and our sense of self. But, there's all the idea of, when you have sex, chemicals are released, oxytocin, and it creates a bond between both partners. And I'm reminded of this passage it was a very interesting passage in Nicholas Christakis' book Blueprint. And he cites some research. I think it was speculative, but there's this long-standing debate about why, relative to other primates, human males have such large penises. And so if you compare sort of proportionally the size of the human male penis to chimpanzees and bonobos and gorillas and orangutans, the human penis is much larger. And there have been different ideas put forth about, sexual signaling or, signifier of health or intimidation of other males. But one interesting idea was that when women give birth to children, it's the process of childbirth in itself, and the experience of it creates a bond to the child. And so the idea here is that human males evolved large penises so that during sex, the woman sort of reenacts or re-experiences something akin to childbirth, and then that helps her to bond to the human partner.
That is the ultimate cock block. You just killed the night for countless couples. Anybody listening to this now is going to cancel.
It's very Freudian in a way, right? You're giving birth to your own male partner.
You're such a good lay that it felt like childbirth to me. So I don't know. I don't know about
the baby arm.
Yeah. I did an interview recently with Dr. Deborah So, who has this she's a sex researcher, and she has a new book out called Sextinction, about a lot of these ideas and about how people aren't having sex as much, if not, a lot of young people aren't having sex at all. And she talks about how women are the gatekeepers of sex, but men are the gatekeepers of relationships. So, this idea, I think a lot of people, especially in the kind of manosphere, have this idea that women can just go out and get sex whenever they want it, but men don't have this luxury. It's not actually the thing that most women want. Like, they want a relationship, and that's very, very difficult to get. Like, what do you make of that framing?
I mean, there is interesting evidence. This is robust. Replicated multiple times, that after casual sex, women report feeling, typically they feel sort of lonely, and, they want a relationship. They end up feeling a little bit worse after casual sex, whereas men, it's either neutral or they feel a little bit better. And so it is, it's fascinating that sort of alongside these great strides in terms of progress for women and gender equality and so on, we've also sort of organized relationships such that in many ways it's less satisfying for women and sort of neutral or perhaps more satisfying for men. The gatekeeper for relationships, is that true? I know, this, anecdotal, but, and I haven't read Deborah's book, but I'm generally an admirer for work, but it does seem, I know guys who, have pursued relationships with women, but then they have been unsuccessful, and often, at least in large cities, and maybe there's some sort of a generational thing, but a lot of women also don't want relationships because they're focused on their careers.
Yeah, gosh, more obviously these are generalizations, but wow. I just see, it seems like the men just really don't want to have a relationship. The women, like, it seems like a lot of the women do want to have a relationship. Whether or not they admit it is another thing.
Yeah.
But
Well, I
I
think
mean,
there's
they
like
want this, and the men they have so many to choose from that they're not necessarily going to have a relationship with any given person they sleep with.
the issue with like this like pair bonding that's analogous to a mother child bond. That's such an intense connection. The thing that really strikes me about dating culture, especially on apps, is that they generate intimacy way too fast and people get physical way too fast. And that sets women up to have this experience of being abruptly left because you just had sex, but you don't know each other. And people who don't want that attachment to solidify are going to bolt. And you are setting that up because you don't know each other when you have sex. And I think a lot of the norms around how quickly people have sex is not attuned to how we are psychologically. But I guess people feel like they're prudes or something, or they're uptight if they acknowledge that this attachment, that a pretty meaningful attachment is related to this. And I think for sex to be gratifying, on some level, you have to acknowledge the reality that this attachment is I don't want to say it's true for everyone. It's obvious, but it's a very, very common part that I don't see. And I think people are almost like, it feels like people are actively repressing it. It's like they don't, or maybe they think liberation is when they repress those feelings of attachment. And so trying to dissociate it. Drugs can be used to dissociate it. Alcohol's used to dissociate it. But people are trying to get rid of this attack. But that obviously leads to a lot of alienation.
Yeah, I think they see it as something that is hampering. Like it's an encumbrance to get attached. If you're gonna have sex with somebody, you don't want to ruin your whole week and be sad and be pining for this person. So like that gets in the way of your life. That would be the thinking, I think. Like if you really want to, max out your potential, you're not going to get hung up on somebody just from having sex with them.
How could you commit to the type of relationship of that intensity with someone that you've been on 3 dates with?
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. I mean, I don't know if you guys are how familiar you are with the dating scene, but how do people have sex on like the third date? I mean, that was always like, just at least wait till the third date, or is it right away? I mean, obviously it varies, but what's the expected thing?
I think
I mean,
it
not you personally.
Yeah.
My sense is it's second date. And a lot of people, first date. It's so fast. And I think it's very, very, I think it's very unhealthy, but it's like people are blindsided by it. And then I would think, it's why would people be less interested in sex? Well, you're going to learn from those painful interactions. Sex is going to be less desirable and less interesting. I don't know. I think I can't.
So the second date is the new third date, is what you're saying. I mean, like what I don't understand? Like I hear about people that they go, like they meet for lunch or something, or even like coffee in the middle of the day, or even in the late morning, and then they go back to somebody's apartment and have sex. It's like really during the day, like after you just ate lunch at a taco place. I mean, I cannot think of anything less appealing.
Yeah, there's people. I mean, Rob, you had some data that like there's a certain percentage, like 10 or 20, that are really having a lot of sex, and then there's a lot of people that just aren't. And I don't know where there's no app for people that are like want to go I think it's not even about like being slow, but just something that's more attuned to how people are psychologically built.
I mean, it's like, just normal. Why don't they have an app like for normal people?
Well, so on some of the dating apps, I know Hinge at least, they have those like relationship preference categories, and you can filter out like basically, is this a deal breaker or not? Like, are you interested in something short term, something casual? Are you interested in long term, monogamy or non-monogamy, this, that, and the other? But I think there's an upper bound to how effective something that can be, because people can be motivated, maybe consciously or unconsciously, to misrepresent, their own desire. Like for
Yeah.
example, you could imagine like a man who is open to whatever. So,
Right.
but he knows that if he says he's only interested in casual, that will dramatically decrease the pool for the number of women he'll match with. So he'll just say like, I want something serious, and know that there's a larger pool of women to choose from. And then, for women, they may have concerns about, even if they want casual sex, they worry that the kind of guys they'll match with will be lower quality. And so they'll put long term, just so that they'll have a better quality of men to choose from. But I think generally, at least for people who are sort of very active in the dating scene, first or second date seems right to me. But the data you'd mentioned, Andrew, this is I think this is maybe one reason why we sort of have these two competing cultural narratives taking place. Where on the one hand, it seems like all of the guardrails around dating and relationships are gone, and it's just it's all hookups out there, dating apps and hookup apps, and a lot of casual sex. But then on the other hand, you hear this narrative of the rise in sexlessness, the sex recession. Why aren't people having sex anymore? Well, those two things I think are both going on simultaneously. But there's one group of people, roughly 20% of men and women, that are very sexually active. And sort of have multiple partners per year. And then the rest of society, the other 80%, are either in committed relationships, or they are just not having sex at all. So most sex happens still in relationships. And so you have, the majority of society, they're the most common responses to how many sexual partners have you had in the last year are 0 or 1. So those are the two most common responses. And then about 20% will say, 2 or more throughout the past year. And this is a very sort of, in social psychology, it's a high sociosexual orientation, which is a fancy way of saying promiscuous, or very interested in, sex with lots of different kinds of people, novelty. And I think for that group, it's definitely kind of first or second date. But I think you probably see larger concentration. So that's like 20% overall across the U.S. I wonder if it's maybe how much it varies in large cities. Like, is it maybe it's 30% or 40% in New York or Los Angeles or Miami or something like that. But I could also easily imagine it going the other way, because income inequality is actually greater in large cities, and so you could imagine actually a smaller percentage, particularly for men, who are having a lot of casual sex, and then a lot of other men are either in relationships or not dating at all. So it's the norm seems to be. I think like part of relatedly, another reason why the rise in sexlessness is taking place is because people are like young people, Zoomers, they're kind of generally aware that the expectation now is, if you meet someone on an app, second date, third date, like there's an expectation that you should have sex. But I think a lot of young people are uncomfortable with that. So they just don't take part at all. They just don't participate. They're just like, I don't want to have sex on the first date. Like, I don't like this. And I hear this from like young guys in particular, like first year, second year male college students, and they're just like, I don't want to like just like hook up. Like, I'd like to have a girlfriend, but like, what are the options to do this? Because hookup culture on college campuses, like that's kind of the expected thing.